After 20 years, Stephen Christopher Stanko has finally been executed in the state of South Carolina. He received not one, but 2 death sentences for 2 murders and an attempted third. Stanko's criminal record stretches back to the 1990s. In 1996, he was incarcerated for assault and kidnapping. He served 8.5 years of a 10-year sentence before being released in 2004. During his time in prison, Stanko co-authored a book. After his release, he claimed to be working on a second one. That led him to spend a lot of time doing research at the local library in Georgetown County. It was there he met 43-year-old librarian Laura Ling. Their friendly connection turned personal, and within months he moved into her home as her boyfriend. Around the same time, he also struck up a friendship with 74-year-old Henry Turner, a regular library patron. Neither of them could have imagined what would follow. On April 7, 2005, less than a year after his release, Stephen Stanko strangled Laura Ling to death in her own home. But that wasn't the end of the violence. He then turned on Ling's teenage daughter, beating her, sexually assaulting her, and cutting her throat. Somehow, she survived, and despite her injuries, she managed to call 911. By then, Stanko was already on his way. He had left the scene and driven to Conway, South Carolina, to visit his elderly friend, Henry Turner. The following morning, Stanko arrived at Turner's house where the two shared breakfast. At some point after that, Stanko pulled out a gun and shot Turner dead. He then emptied Turner's bank account and stole his truck. Driving first to Columbia and then on to Augusta, Georgia, Stanko posed as a businessman visiting town for the Masters golf tournament. There, he convinced a local woman to let him stay at her apartment. He kept up the act for several days, attending church with her and maintaining the image of a polite out-of-towner. After Stanko left on April 12th, the woman happened to glance at the front page of a newspaper. There was his face, accompanied by a headline about the killing of Henry Turner. The seemingly friendly man she took in was now a fugitive. She picked up the phone and called the police. Stanko was still in Augusta when they closed in and arrested him. Stanko admitted to both killings. At trial, his defense attorneys argued that he had a damaged frontal lobe, impairing his ability to control aggression, emotions, and impulses. They claimed he lacked empathy and was suffering from a mental illness that should exempt him from the death penalty, or at least from being held fully responsible. The court wasn't convinced. In 2006, he was convicted and sentenced to death for the murder of Laura Ling and the rape of her daughter. A few years later, in 2009, he received a second death sentence for the murder of Henry Turner. Both verdicts were followed by a series of appeals. One key hearing came on September 23, 2007, when Stanko's legal team argued in the South Carolina Supreme Court. They claimed that the trial judge had made critical errors, such as preventing jurors from being questioned on their views about the insanity defense and excluding evidence related to Stanko's mental condition and age. The court upheld the conviction and the death sentence. In the final phase of his legal journey, Stanko faced another decision: how he would die. South Carolina law mandates the electric chair as the default method of execution, but inmates can choose lethal injection or firing squad if either is available. Stanko's lawyers said he feared electrocution, believing it would be like being cooked by thousands of volts. He initially leaned toward the firing squad, but concern surfaced after another inmate, Michael Mahdi, appeared to suffer for nearly 45 seconds during his own execution in April 2025, much longer than expected, after few of the squad reportedly missed his heart. With that in mind, Stephen Stanko elected to be executed by lethal injection, a method that was also criticized by him and his lawyers. Autopsies done on 2 of the 3 previous inmates killed by lethal injection in South Carolina in the past year have shown their lungs filled with massive amounts of fluid. Experts said that is what usually happens when someone is given a massive dose of pentobarbital. Medical experts hired by the state said the drug knocks the inmate unconscious before they ever feel any other sensation or pain. Witnesses to the executions said inmates don't have any signs of consciousness after about 30 seconds. Other experts, hired by lawyers for the inmates, said prisoners may still be able to feel, and that the rush of fluid is like drowning. Stanko's last meal, served to him on Wednesday, consisted of fried fish, fried shrimp, crab cakes, a baked potato, carrots, fried okra, cherry pie, banana pudding, and sweet tea. It took several minutes for Stanko's attorney to read out his extensive final words. What I hope and pray that is known and understood about me, and every death row inmate and inmate in the world, is that we are not the sum of one moment in time. We execute people in this country for moments in their life. I have lived approximately 20,973 days, but I am judged solely for one. He said that as a youth, he was an honors student, an athlete, the president of the Spanish club, and was on the math team and in an engineering club. As a young adult, he said he volunteered at an orphanage, coached youth baseball, and saved a drowning child in Augusta. And on death row, he said he tutored inmates and developed a relationship with God. He further wrote, "I do not say this to brag. I say it because I was not what people see me as now, in this moment." He added that he hopes his surviving victim and the victim's families forgive him. The execution may help them. Forgiveness will heal them. Stephen Stanko was pronounced dead at 6:34 p.m.